The third edition of the Global South Academic Forum, GSAF 2025, has officially opened here in Shanghai with powerful calls against the resurgence of fascism, which is worryingly reappearing in new and more complex forms. The event brings together leading scholars, policymakers, and activists from across Asia, Africa, and Latin America, united in exploring how the lessons of past struggles can guide the global south in shaping a fairer multipolar world.
For me, it's very important to be part of this, also to broaden the horizons. It made me think a lot of how narrow picture we have in Europe and how isolated, in fact, we are and unaware of the processes of different forms of thinking and imagining the future that we have heard about in these days at the conference.
The spirit of the anti-fascist war is important to have because I think the world we see today is a world in crisis. Again, there's another crisis of capital. We have in the collective West, we see countries like the United States losing its hegemony and trying to find desperate ways of maintaining it, because it feels threatened by the development of China, by the developments of Russia, but also by the development of countries coming together in multilateral spaces like BRICS, in ways in which we can show that that hegemony or that single rule by one country, one power, is no longer possible.
In the 60s, Ghana's GDP was much, much higher than that of China. And today, seeing the unprecedented development in China, it means that we have a long way to go. And I'm quite optimistic that with the resetting agenda of His Excellency, our President, we need to learn a lot and we need to collaborate a lot with China in regards to the South-South cooperation to see how we can bring development at par with us, with our southern counterparts.
Part of the conference, the big intellectual intervention that has been made in a text that was published by Tricontinental is that we have to understand the nature of fascism. Fascism is on the rise right now all over the world. And so understanding its origins and the fact that when World War II ended, the fascist elements were not taken to justice. In fact, many of them were absorbed in the system that then ended up becoming what we know as the international world in architecture, the UN, all these kinds of organizations that should be about justice, should be about retribution, were founded in a moment in which there was a bit of an erasure about how fascism had impacted the world, the casualties that we saw in the global south.
Now, the opening session of the conference featured keynote addresses from leading voices across the global south, including V.J. Prashad, director of the Tricontinental Institute for Social Research, who highlighted the urgent need to revive the anti-fascist spirit, not as a matter of nostalgia, but as a living principle to confront today's global inequalities, wars, and the rising extremism.
It was unnecessary for the United States to conduct the Trinity tests in July 1945 and then to drop the atom bombs on Hiroshima on the 6th of August and Nagasaki on the 9th of August. The immense sacrifice of the Soviet citizens, the Chinese communists, and the Chinese patriots made the use of that weapon of mass destruction preventable. That they used it, that the imperialists used it, tells us more about the violent disregard for human life that defines imperialist culture, which is exactly what we are seeing today in Gaza. The first lie, that the Western allies opposed the fascists from the first, and that it was the Western allies that won the war against fascism. That's, by the way, what you learn when you watch a Hollywood film about World War II.
Delivering his keynote address, Professor Li Shemin, a distinguished professor at the University of the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, also described the present moment as a defining crossroad in world history. He affirmed China's resolve to rise above any challenge in the pursuit of building a shared future for humanity. Professor Lee noted that China's resistance to hegemony reflects its enduring belief in peace and cooperation. The rest of the day will feature a series of high-level panel discussions exploring key historical and contemporary issues, among them the Eastern main battlefield of the anti-fascist war, the cornerstone of peace in Northeast Asia, and the foundation of the post-world order, a session titled Beyond the Cold War, the Yalta System, the United Nations, and the Post-War International Order, and another one on the post-war global south and new developments in the non-aligned movement. A special panel on Northeast Asia will also delve into the region's strategic role in shaping post-war peace and today's multipolar world. Now, as the world marks the 80th anniversary of the victory of the anti-fascist war, the Global South Academic Forum continues to organize and unite and bring together voices from Africa, from Asia, and Latin America to rethink the future of South-South cooperation. For Pan-African Television, this is a Makiza Latifa report from Shanghai, China.